and welcome to Teacher Features and the next part in my mini-series all about time and timetables. Join me as we go on a short journey through Japan's metro system, a place where everything runs on time. Let's go down to the station and have a look at what we're learning today. Okay, here we are down in the station. Let's check the lesson objectives for today. So, in the last episode we looked at converting units of time. In this episode we will look at reading and writing 12 and 24-hour clocks, including digital and analog. Okay, let's click on the station for time, and here we are back on the green line, and we're going to go to station number 2, 12 and 24-hour clocks. Okay, another rainy night here, somewhere in Japan. Okay, look at these 4 clocks. What is special about each clock? Let's have a look at the different kind of clocks we might see. 12-hour clock, as you can see, the numbers go from 1 all the way to 12, and then they stop. A 24-hour clock, as you can see, the numbers go from 1 to 12, but then they can continue counting from 13 all the way to 23. So in the morning, we go round and we count the black numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then in the afternoon, we carry on counting and we begin counting the red numbers, beginning at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and so on. Here we have a 12-hour digital clock. On this clock, the numbers don't go past 12, so it's important that the clock shows us AM or PM. As you can see on this clock, it says PM, so we know that this is actually 7:30 in the evening. Here we have a 24-hour digital clock, and as you can see, we have the number 20 for our hour, which means it's bigger than 12, so we've actually gone past 12 already, and we're now in the afternoon or the evening. Okay, let's look in more detail at this clock. So, each of the large numbers mean 1 hour, and as you can see, there are 12 hours on this clock. The small lines in between the large numbers show us minutes. So each of these small lines counts as 1 minute. If we want to count quickly the number of minutes, we can actually count in 5s. As you can see, if we move from 12 to 1 is actually 5 minutes, and then from 1 to 2 is 10 minutes, from 2 to 3 is 15 minutes, or a quarter. So let's have a look at the time on the clock. As we can see, the shorthand is pointing to the 3, so we know the hour is 3 o'clock and something. The minute hand, the long hand, is 2 minutes past 1. So if we were to count the total number of minutes there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the hour is 3 o'clock, and we've gone 7 minutes past 3. Have a look at the red and yellow buttons at the top here, where it says to and past. That's important because when we look at the time on this side of the clock, the yellow side, we tend to use the word past. For example, 7 minutes past 3. When our hands are on the other side of the clock, the red side, we tend to use the word to. So let's have a look at why we use the word to. On the clock at the moment we have the time 12:45. The hour hand is not quite at the 1, so it's still 12 o'clock. And the minute hand is all the way around where the 9 is, which is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes. Now, because our hand is on the red side of the clock, we're going to use the word 2 to describe the time. So what we would say is it's 15 minutes to 1. 15 minutes to 1 o'clock. So what we're really saying is we have 15 minutes more to go before we get to 1 o'clock. So when we're talking about the red side and we use the word 2, we're thinking about how many more minutes to go until we get to the next hour. We could also say that it's quarter to 1. The reason is 15 is the same as a quarter on the clock, because there are 60 minutes altogether, and 15 is a quarter of 60. Okay, let's have a quick look at a digital clock. As you can see, on the left we have the hour, which is 7, and on the right we have the number of minutes. But how do we know if it's in the morning or afternoon? Well, on a 12-hour clock we need to check, we need to say PM or AM. In this case it's 7:30 PM. Or we could say 7:30. Okay, let's look at the 24-hour clock. As there are 24 hours in a day, the hands go around the clock 2 times. The first time, the morning, we count the black numbers. The second time is in the afternoon and the evening, and we count the red numbers. So, the morning goes from 0 to 12, and then the afternoon carries on counting from 13 all the way to 24. Actually, on the clock here it's shown as 00. So, what is the time on this clock? Well, the hour hand is pointing to the 10, and the minute hand is pointing to the 2. So, as we're in the evening, we're actually going to read the number 22 instead of 10. So we know it's 10 in the evening, and we've gone 10 minutes past 10. So it's 22:10 or 10 past 10. Let's look at the 24-hour digital clock. We can see this on a 24-hour digital clock too. The clock doesn't need to say AM or PM. Why? Because the number is larger than 12, so we know it's in the afternoon or the evening. We've counted past the number 12, so we know it's in the second half of the day. So we have the minutes on the right side and the hour on the left. Be careful here, we don't say 20:36 when we read the time. 20 is actually the same as 8. It's just in the afternoon. The fact that we write 20 just tells us it's in the evening. So the time is 20:36, or what we should say is 8:36. Or, as we're actually on the second half of the clock, the red side, we could say, or what we should say is 24 minutes to 9. Okay, let's look at this 24-hour clock in a bit more detail. So, here we have the numbers on the clock going to 12 in the morning. Look how they continue into the afternoon. So as you can see, 1 is actually the same as 13, 2 is actually the same as 14, 3 is the same as 15, 4, 16, 5, 17, and so on. Another way to look at this is, if we add 12 to our morning number, it gives us the right number for the afternoon. So 1 add 12 equals 13. 2 add 12 equals 14. 3 add 12 equals 15. And so on. So there's also a pattern there. And that's because we're talking about 12 hours to go all the way around the clock. Let's look at a few quick word problems. Okay. Can we match these times first of all? So let's look at the first digital clock. We know that hour is 13, and from the previous slide we know that 13 take away 12 is actually 1. So it's 1 o'clock and then 10 minutes past. So it's 10 minutes past 1 o'clock. Let's look at the next one. So it's 20, the hour is 20, which we know if we take away 12 is actually 8. And then there are 30 minutes. We could say 30 minutes past, or we could say half past, because it's halfway around the clock. So we could say 8:30. The next clock, we have the number 23. If we take away 12, we get the number 11. So 23 is the same as 11 o'clock. And it's 15 minutes past 11. Because it's 15 minutes, we could also say it's quarter. Remember, 15 minutes is a quarter of the clock. And the last one, 15, is the same as 3 o'clock, and we're 20 minutes past. So it's 20 past 3. Okay, Mr. Miyagi has just opened his ramen shop for the evening. He opens it at the same time every day. What time do you think he opens it? Well, let's look at the clock. We know it's in the evening, so we're going to be looking at the red numbers. Okay. The hour is pointing to 17, which is the same as 5. And the minute hand is just past the 9. And we know that that is about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes. So we've gone 45 minutes past 5, but because we're in the evening, we're on the red side of the clock, we should probably say, use the word to describe the time. So let's say it's about 15 minutes to 5 or quarter to 5. The sun sets at the same time every day during autumn. What time does the sun set? Well, let's have a look at the clock. It's a digital clock, and we know that it's in the evening because our number is greater than 12, so we're on the second lap around the clock. So we know that 17 is the same as 5, and then we have 30 minutes, so it's 5:30 or half past 5. The sun rises at the same time every day during autumn. What time does the sun rise? Well, let's have a look at the clock. The hour hand is pointing to the 5. The minute hand is pointing to the 12. And when the minute hand is pointing to the 12, we know it's going to be o'clock. So we can say that it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and that's our objective for today, this episode. So that is how we look at or read 12-hour and 24-hour clocks. Okay, so hopefully that lesson was helpful for you today, and you can download this PowerPoint from the link in the description below. Feel free to check out some of my other videos as well that I'm making. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.